some of the marketing philosophies that exist out in the world that I've observed. The first philosophy is what I think of as kind of broadcast-based traditional mass marketing, right? Broadcast-based, where I'm just trying to broadcast my message out there. And these are things like brand advertising, public relations, in some cases retail distribution, to some extent word-of-mouth marketing. I just want to get it out there. I want to get people talking about it. And that's really the get your name out there philosophy. Now, there have been a lot of successes, don't get me wrong. Companies like Starbucks built themselves from the ground up with no external advertising. They did it all through having a great product and getting people to talk about it, right? Companies like, Nike and to some extent Rolex, they do this broadcast-based marketing. We're just sending our message out there, and they figured out how to do it well. Several big successes. But what I found is that the failure examples of the broadcast model are typically every small, high-growth company that tries it. Smaller companies that just try to stand on the top of the mountain and yell their name and hope people will show up and give them money usually don't succeed with it. Another philosophy is what we might call result-based mass marketing. And you can think of result-based marketing as being one-to-one marketing that's been replicated or done with a lot of people. But for a high-growth business, this can be a very effective strategy. These are things like direct response marketing or even network marketing. And do you remember I mentioned affiliate marketing? Affiliate marketing is based on the fundamental paradigm of I'm going to give you permission to sell my products. When someone buys one of them, then you get paid. It's based on the result. You get paid based on the result. Network marketing, you sign up a new distributor, that distributor goes out and sells product and signs up other distributors. And when they sell product and sign up other distributors, that's when they get paid. So the company is only paying for results. Well, you can take this philosophy with your marketing. You have to do more testing, you have to approach it in a scientific way, but when you start only thinking about paying for results and not just for broadcasting your name and your image out there, flips a little switch. So this is getting their name in here. This is the other side of the coin of getting your name out there. And there are many examples of successes in this world. Some that came to mind for me are companies like Bowflex, which is a huge, massive success, all direct response marketing. Companies like QVC, an entire network based on direct response marketing. Figures like Tony Robbins, companies like Amway. These are all result-based marketing models. And finally, we have what I call hope-based marketing. Hope-based marketing. And these include the give it away, figure out how to monetize it later model, and a couple that I call build it and they will come, and do what you love and the money will follow. These are all hope-based marketing. And you'll see a lot of people that are very passionate about these, and they just say, I know that if I do this thing and I build it, that's it. Everything's going to take off and everything's going to be okay. Or I'm just going to give it all away. I will figure out how to make money with it later. My experience is that for every one hit you see, like a YouTube, for example, that just gave it all away and figured out how to make money later, which, we'll see if that ever actually comes to fruition. It probably will. But for every one of those, there are dozens or hundreds or who knows, maybe even thousands of others that try it, and it just doesn't work out. Because once you have given away enough and people are used to getting it for free, and then you realize, oh, this is interesting, this is a real challenge. Now I've got to go back to these people and figure out what they want to buy, instead of maybe turning that around and figuring out what people want to buy and then giving a little bit of what they wanted to buy or the result they want, give that away for free and then have the next part something they buy. Just backwards thinking. Doesn't usually work. So if you've started a newer, high-growth business, something that you really want to grow quickly, I recommend that you stick with the result-based philosophies, and we're going to cover most of those in this program. And the education and the track record that you get from those and the experience will help you if you want to go over into the more kind of broadcast-based media channels. David Ogilvy, who is one of the most brilliant marketers of all time, started Ogilvy and Mather, huge advertising agency. He started out in direct response marketing, and he took what he applied there, and he used those principles in mass marketing and was able to build huge multi-hundred-million-dollar and billion-dollar brands. And he says in his books that he wrote that that's the way he did it. He learned it with the direct marketing in the streets, making sales, and then he applied it to the mass marketing channels. So start here, evolve there. Now we talked about strategies, and I want to talk about a few strategies that tend to work. I mentioned these earlier. The first strategy is the strategy that we might call the best. Be the best. And the basic approach here is the highest quality, a flawless experience, high status, conspicuous consumption, pride of spending, all of those kinds of things. Image. But you are the gold standard. And there are many examples of successes here. Companies like Rolex and Apple Computer and Ferrari and Four Seasons Hotels and Whole Foods Market and Virgin Atlantic. These are the gold standards that made it, and they're very powerful, and they are very, very valuable brands, very valuable companies. Now, the general pros to this approach are that you get to use premium pricing. You get to price your products and services essentially wherever you want, whatever you can get for them. And this leads to potentially very high profits. Because when you're the best, you kind of have that whole segment to yourself, and people will tend to pay a lot more. Now, the cons to this are that perfection is expected. When you're the best, people expect everything to be perfect. And you're, on some level, competing with the experience that those other brands that I just mentioned deliver. All right? It's also expensive to deliver the gold standard in many cases. It's expensive to deliver a premium experience. And when you're successful, you attract attention immediately, and others say, that looks like a niche that I want to get into. And so you attract your own competition. Now, here are some of the pros that I see for a new high-growth startup business. When you go for the strategy of we are the best, you can become very visible to the highest spending customers quickly. And you can, if you're strong and swift, you could corner the market. The cons, though, that I see are that it's typically very expensive to storm the market and create the best in a category where there are already well-funded competitors. Okay? So when I'm talking about this strategy of being the best, I'm talking about entering into a marketplace where there are already competitors, and you are now going to come be the best. It also can require large amounts of money up front, and probably well-funded competitors, the big competition, already is thinking about that market if they're not already in that market. Now, the next strategy that we'll talk about is kind of the other end of the spectrum, and this strategy is the cheapest or the best value. And this basic approach is lowest cost, best value. And examples of companies that have done very well with this are companies like Walmart, Southwest Airlines, Home Depot, Staples, McDonald's, Dell. These are low-cost competitors that just dominate their markets. They do very well. So a general plus, or one of the pros of this strategy, is that if you can achieve high volume and you really can dominate the market, the volume can make huge amounts of money. I mean, modern successes like Walmart that have become some of the most powerful companies in the world have proven that by exploiting efficiencies, exploiting technology to exploit efficiencies and just being better, faster, more on top of their game, they can make huge profits. But there are downsides, there are cons, there are dangers. One of these is that it's a tricky game. If you compete on price and someone shows up and they can do it at a better price, your margin is probably pretty thin and it's going to be hard to compete with them. An example is China right now. China is actually wiping out entire sectors of industry where we, in our Western culture, used to be strong. When I heard that we are now importing steel from China to our country, I did the math and I said, okay, wait. So they're taking steel in whatever form it comes in, bars or sheets, or I don't know how you ship steel. They're bringing it all the way down to the water. They're loading it up onto a ship, and then they're using the fuel to get it all the way around the world, unloading it, and they can do that cheaper than we can make it at wherever the dock is. That's unbelievable. So when you compete on price, you can get beaten on price, and then it can wipe you out. A lot of industries have paid a high price for competing on price. Now, for a new business, there are actually some benefits. One of the benefits, or one of the pros to this strategy, is that it's a no-brainer. You just start and say, we are the lowest cost place you can go. We got the cheapest prices. And you can yell that from the treetops, and you will attract people. People will come in because they want to buy the thing at the best price. Okay? The other thing that makes it simple and easy is it's easy for your company and your team. You just tell everyone, we have to have the lowest price. That's how we stay in business. We got to figure that one out. So it can keep you aligned, of course. Now, the cons for a new business are that big companies that want to own that market and don't want you to take any of it from them, that are doing 100 or 1,000 times the business that you're doing, they can tweak the market a little bit or change the prices and make it so that it's very painful for you. Okay? There are laws against these kind of things, but I think we've all seen that when it comes to a market that's very valuable, other businesses and people are willing to do things that aren't always their highest ethical selves, let's just say. And when you're the little guy and you're trying to compete on price, it can be very hard. Which leads me to our third strategy. And this strategy I'll call the new unique solution, or the new category. And the basic approach here is that you're going to create this new category, not out here in reality, but in the mind of the prospect. You're going to become a new niche expert. You're going to create the niche, and then you're going to be the expert in it. And this is the land of essentially zero competition. And this is also the land where you can set your own prices. Because when you're the only one offering this service, as far as the prospect is concerned, then they need to pay what is reasonable to pay. And if you can persuade them that you have the value, then you can persuade them that it's worth paying whatever you want them to pay. Now, some of the pros to this strategy are that if it's a hit, you can then parlay this and develop it into the best strategy because you created the category. So you can then kind of morph or evolve or transform into the owner of the top of the market. So some examples of companies, products that have done this are things like the iPod, or Jamba Juice, or MySpace, or even Google to a large extent, or this program, Altitude. Now you might ask, well, wait a minute, Google didn't create the search engine category. in the minds of all the people that use it? They did. If you ask the average person, who invented the search engine? What do you think most of them are going to say? Google. Most people have never been into a funky, little hole-in-the-wall, healthy, natural juice restaurant or little juice place, but they have been to a Jamba Juice, and they think that Jamba Juice invented it. Do you think that Apple invented the MP3 player or the portable music player or the portable video player with the iPod? No. Do you think that most people that own them think that they did? Yes. Why? Because they created a new category in the mind of the prospect. Right? It was the new, unique solution. Now, one of the challenges here when you're doing this is that it actually requires work. It requires you to spend some time getting to know your customers, finding out where they have a pain, a problem, a frustration, a result that they want to achieve, but they don't feel like they have any options. And then you can address that with a new niche that you can create. A great advantage, by the way, for new small businesses or fast-growing businesses is that this strategy allows you to, quote-unquote, compete with big, well-funded players. It allows you to jump in, charge premium prices, and create your own category. And in a lot of cases, the competitors don't even really know what you're doing. They don't understand. They can't see that you've created a new category. They just lump you in with everything else. They don't realize that as far as the customers are concerned, the customers are getting something new, different, and better. Now, the downside of this, by the way, and everything has pros and cons, is that it requires a little bit of thinking, a little bit of legwork, and a little bit of experimentation. If you're creating something new, by definition, that means you're blazing your own trail. You're finding a new path that no one has taken. You're not walking up in the park to the trailhead and walking down the trail that 1,000 humans and a lot of animals have taken for hundreds of years. You've got to find your own way, but a lot of rewards can come from it. So let's take a few minutes and talk about marketing channels. Channels. The channels, or the frequencies, or the wavelengths, or the pipes you're going to use to reach a mass audience. If you're going to take your fast-growing startup business up to a much higher level, you're going to have to reach a lot of people, and you're going to need to use some mass marketing channel to do that. So here are a few channels that some use. One is the channel of what you might call cold marketing, canvassing. These are things like outbound telemarketing, where you get telemarketers to just call everyone, go through the phone book, or call a list of people. Another one might be door-to-door selling, where you just walk up to doors, they open the door, and you say, "Hi, want to buy my product?" Another one that's common is blind direct mail, where you just mail to a zip code. Some of these strategies work. Typically, my experience is they work for experienced people who understand them. That's why they've earned the reputation and the name cold prospecting, cold canvassing. The next is what you might think of as traditional mass marketing or mass media. And the basic strategy here is to buy inclusion, to be included with the broadcast message that's going out to a lot of people. An example of this might be buying a little ad in the New York Times. You know that that thing is going out to millions of people, and you know you're going to be included. You're going to get to ride along. Another example might be placing an advertisement on a show that 1 million people watch. You know it's going out to 1 million people. You're going to just get in there and hope you jump in front of them. Or placing a banner ad on a mass media site. You know that they've got millions of people, and you know your banner is just going to show up in front of a lot of people. Broadcast, just sending it out there. Some examples of this are things like public relations. To some extent, trade shows are this way, although they're a little bit focused. You're just kind of standing there, and hopefully all this traffic's going by, and you're going to meet your prospect. Some basic affiliate marketing, the kind where you just make a product and you put it up on one of these affiliate networks and you hope a bunch of people pick it up. maybe email, co-reg databases, big databases of millions of people that someone will just broadcast your message to. Mass marketing. Okay? The idea is to ride along with someone else's message and hope that your prospect sees you. Now, another channel is the existing customer relationship channel. And here I'm referring to the existing customer relationships of others, not you. So this can also be kind of a broadcast where you're, paying for inclusion or paying to be delivered, but instead of just going out to the world with a little bit of targeting, now you're going in with some endorsement and some trust, and there's an assumed relationship in some way. So an example of this might be an endorsed marketing piece, where, and this is probably the strongest version of this, where you find someone who has a successful company, has a lot of customers, they have a good relationship with their customers, a lot of trust, and you say, hey, I sell something that would be complementary to your product or service. Will you send all of your customers a communication that tells them about me and says that I'm great and recommend that they buy from me? So that's kind of riding in on an existing customer relationship, endorsed marketing. In some cases, you might think of some bundled offers as being this. So, we use the example of a company like Dell. Well, a lot of computer manufacturers will go and they'll bundle pieces of software that you didn't want on the computer and that junk it up in the first place but sounded good when you bought the computer, and they'll bundle them together and they'll say, if you buy this computer, we'll throw in all of this free software. Well, the person who's selling that software kind of got bundled in there, and so now they're also selling their product through an existing customer relationship channel, right? They're riding in on the buyer, the customer buying channel. You might consider things like targeted direct mail to a rented customer list, right? This is kind of over on the gray zone a little bit of this, but you still get my idea. It's someone that bought something like what you're selling or related to what you're selling. You know that they're a buyer, and so you're coming in through that channel. Retail, right? Someone's in there buying stuff and they could buy your thing. Another one that I think of as being potentially a version of this that I like is search marketing. Either search engine optimization or pay-per-click search marketing. Why? Because the person that's there is a customer of the search engine. They may not be buying from the search engine, but they're using it to do something that can be just as powerful as buying, which is they're showing up and typing in search phrases, which means they're looking for the thing. So search marketing, in a way, you're riding in on that customer relationship with someone who's already expressed an interest in the topic. Jay Abraham, who is a brilliant marketing genius, someone that I've been fortunate enough to talk to a few times. I spent some time with him recently, and I heard him say that if he had all of his fancy marketing techniques and tricks taken away and he can only have one, what would it be? And he said, endorsed relationships. Because that's the most powerful, endorsed relationships. It's a great place to start. And then finally, we have what you might call one-to-one marketing. And that term's been used a lot, but just we're using it in this context to mean to motivate or incentivize an individual to refer or sell others. And so this might be like a network marketing model or like a word of mouth or a viral model. The internet has made creating viral or word of mouth marketing much easier than it's ever been before. But I've known very few people that could do it. I've known very few people that could do it. Typically people that are very talented at it, really understand it. And David Ogilvy had a quote about word of mouth marketing. He said, "No one knows how to do it on purpose." And he said, "Well, at least I don't." I'm not saying that really there's nobody that knows how to do it, but don't rely on it, okay? Rely on response-based marketing, where you're going out, finding good qualified prospects, sharing your offer, and asking them to convert. So where do you start if you're starting out? And I think that the point of all this is to show you that there are a lot of ways to skin the cat. By now, your eyes are probably glazing over and you're like, oh my God, I mean, all those different things are probably like a bazillion combinations. How am I ever going to put this puzzle together? Well, that is part of the problem, is that all of the options paralyze the typical business owner, get them to the point where they don't even know where to start, they don't even know where to go, and then they fail because they try something they have no experience in. So what I want to recommend is that you start with response-based marketing. Start with a response-based marketing model or a direct response model. Learn that, develop that, potentially start with targeted online advertising or endorsed relationships. Okay, use one of these high probability models that you can spend a little bit of money and really see whether or not the offer works. Maybe use search marketing or online affiliate marketing, things where you're really able to measure and pay for results. If you can make those work, you can then go on to tackle the bigger beasts that I talked about earlier. If you can't make those work, you will probably have a very hard time making any of the more sophisticated, abstract, and complex models work. So start with response-oriented marketing, direct response marketing. And that's what our focus is going to be for the rest of this program. Another distinction I want to bring up, and it's something that we will talk about during this program, is that marketing, to me, has two faces. One face of marketing is the external face, and the other face of marketing is the internal face. And let me explain what I mean by that. The external face of marketing is lead generation. It's the advertising. It's going out and finding the people that might be interested in your product or service and getting their attention and getting them to look at what it is that you have. That's the external face. The internal face is what you might think of as lead conversion. Once you've got their attention and they're looking at your stuff, then connecting, bonding, communicating the value of your product or service, and converting them to a sale. Now, why is it important to think of these two aspects as separate? By the way, I'll also mention something. In our business, we actually have two separate teams that work on these things. One of them is the kind of lead acquisition team that goes out and figures out how to get the attention of the people and get them to come in. And the other team is the conversion team that figures out what to do from then on. Sell them products, offer them things that will help them achieve the results that they're trying to achieve in the right sequence that will sell the most and get the most value to the customer, and therefore get the most value to us. Now, why is it important to break these in two and separate them, and why do we do that? Because I think it's very important that you avoid the all too common mistake of going into sales mode with someone that hasn't had the chance to get to know you at all, that doesn't know, like, and trust you, and you're already trying to sell them. We own businesses where we teach men and women how to be more successful in the relationship and dating world. This also applies there. One of the things that we advise, as an example, men to do is when you meet a woman that you're interested in, don't say, oh my God, let's go out on a date for 7 hours where we're going to be alone and it's going to be just you and me and we can get to know each other better. Don't sell too much too soon because you will create buying resistance very fast. I'm not saying you don't want to sell, but what I am saying is that when you break these two pieces together, these two faces, it'll make you really good at both of them and you'll understand how to link them together, and I think you'll get much better results. Just before we get into some of the more detailed material, I want to talk to you about testing and optimization. You're going to want to become familiar with those two words, testing and optimization. Expect at least 80% of your advertising and marketing tests to fail, meaning that they don't bring in enough sales to justify continuing. Expect at least 80% of your marketing and advertising tests to fail. Why would I say something that sounds very discouraging like that? Because in marketing, we're not trying to win a coin flip. We're drilling for oil. Does that make sense? We can afford to try a lot of test wells because we know that when we find a good one, it's going to be worth a lot to us. So when you find that right combination of your strategy, the right channel, the right marketing piece, the right conversion, the right upsell, the right back end, when you find that right combination and you've got a model that works that you can then start tweaking and optimizing, that's when you've got something that's really, really valuable. That's when you have a marketing system that works. That's when you have a marketing model that works. So what I'd like you to do is take what you're going to learn in this program and use it to test. Use it to make a lot of marketing tests. Keep the things that work. Throw away the things that don't. Don't get too attached to anything. And remember that you're drilling for oil. What is marketing? What is it? Any ideas? Yell it out. What is marketing?
Making the connection between customers.
Making the connection between the customers and what they want? Good. Someone's listening. I like that. What is marketing? No one seems to know what marketing really is. Most people think that marketing is just trying to sell stuff to people or convince people to buy your stuff. And I want to bring it back to this idea that marketing is about the promise of fulfillment of the need that a customer has. And including an action step in there so that the customer can take action and get their need fulfilled at a price that makes sense. Now, what I want to talk to you about here is what I'm going to call the 10 commandments of powerful response marketing. 10 commandments for creating powerful response marketing documents. Quick little side note. A few weeks ago, I did a call where I talked about 11 points. I've reworked them. I've changed a few of them around, and we're going to cover those real quick before we get into the hot seats, okay? So that's what part of this content is. All right, here we go. Number 1, show me I am in the right place immediately by giving me what I'm looking for. Show me that I am in the right place immediately by giving me what I'm looking for. You'll notice that in many of the examples that we've seen already, it's not obvious to me that I'm in the right place. Just at a gut level, there it is. I'm in the right place. Don't show your prospects what you want them to be looking for. Don't show them what you think they're looking for. Show them what they're looking for. And in a lot of cases, you have to ask them to figure that out. Next, know the emotional hot buttons or pain points that are important to me and keep saying them over and over and relating everything to those points and to the outcome that I want. Know my emotional hot buttons and my pain points and relate everything to them and to the result that I'm looking for. It's critical that when you do this, you also line up the beginning of the communication, the middle of the communication, and the end of the communication when you ask the prospect to take action. They have to be lined up. They have to be congruent with each other. Commandment number 3, talk to me in a personal, one-to-one conversational tone and show me that you get me. Talk to me in a personal, one-to-one conversational tone and show me that you get me. How? How do you show me that you get me? By being specific, getting right to the point, and not wasting words. Design everything in a way that's easy and intuitive for me to understand and comprehend. Design everything in a way that's easy and intuitive for me to understand. In a way that naturally evokes confidence and trust at some level. Number 5, leave me better off than I was when I arrived by giving me something I can use to get closer to my desired result now. So leave me better off than I was when I got here. Give me something that helps me get one step closer to the result or the outcome that I want. Number 6, help me to feel that you are trustworthy. Help me to feel that you're trustworthy, that you're authentic, that you're authoritative. By sharing the good, the bad, the ugly, be real with me and help me feel that you are trustworthy. It's an emotion. I want you to help me feel it. Help me feel the emotion of trust. Number 7, help me to get the feeling that I've discovered a wonderful secret personal resource, and now I have a go-to advantage that I can access when I'm in need. Help me get the feeling that I've discovered a wonderful secret personal resource and that I have a go-to advantage and I can access it whenever I need to. Number 8, tell me your story of how you, your product, your service came to be in a way that resonates with me on a personal, individual level. And in your story, tell me about your passion for your product or service. Tell me about your passion for helping me as a customer. Number 9, tell me exactly what I need to do in order to take the next step to get the result that I want. Tell me exactly what I need to do in order to take the next step to get the result that I want. And further, translate or convert your methods into a currency that I can understand on an intuitive level. Convert it into a currency that I understand. We'll talk more about this stuff later. And finally, number 10, take away my risk, or better yet, turn it around so that you, as the business or the business owner, have more of it than me. Take away all of my risk, or better yet, turn it around so that you have it and not me. Let me show you a couple of examples. I'll show you this one a couple of times because I want you to know that I like to practice what I preach. Who has seen our Altitude free business quiz analysis? Good? Most people? Okay. So take a look at this. Take this free 10-question business quiz to find out how well your business stacks up when it comes to marketing, hiring, growth, and making big profits. Answer these 10 questions, and I'll send you a free 5-page analysis with valuable tips for growing your business. Question number 1, how often do you communicate with your prospects and customers? Question number 2, how would you describe your marketing lead generation systems and conversion process? Number 3, once you have acquired a customer, how many of your own products and services do you offer them, and how long does the relationship realistically last? These questions and this framing, this tone of voice, this offer for a free analysis, this probably resonates with you. In fact, if you're listening to me talk right now, you probably went through this to find me. There's a high probability that you did. You went through this method to get to me. Now, that is a little bit of, self-evidence that it works. Right? You're here listening to me because of this or something like it. What about this, what makes this so interesting, so unique? mean, doesn't this just seem to be a quiz, something you've seen before, answer some questions, I'll get analysis? Maybe from one perspective it does, but in this particular perspective, it seems to be very powerful. Where's our next guest? All right. Oh, it would be you. How's it going? What's your name? What's your name? Bob. Bob. Give Bob a hand. Welcome him. All right, Bob. So tell us a little bit about your business and how this marketing document came to be.
Well, I've been doing online communities for quite a while, since 2000.
So tell me about your business.
Okay, basically this one came about because of, well, where do I begin? I had an earlier community based on a guy's book, network marketing book, called The Greatest Networker in the World. Mm-hmm. That was a community that I actually created that for this guy's book, and we created a community around it. That fell apart, and the people that I met in that community, we created this new one called Powerful Intentions.
Could I get you to keep that hand over here while you're gesturing? No, just, how about this? I don't care what hand it's in. I just need the mic right here.
Keep the mic right
there
here.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, good.
All right.
Good. Everyone can hear better.
Okay. So I had two major partners in this, and the three of us formed this new community based on the law of attraction principle. Mm-hmm. And we've kind of grown it from there, starting in 2004.
Okay.
And we were very lucky to meet Rhonda Byrne, who did The Secret in 2005, and had an alliance with her to be the official online community for that movie. So we've had a huge growth. The community's really grown big. Back when Oprah in February got really high, and we've sold lots of DVDs. Now the community has tapered off, and we haven't found the next big feature to go in. One of the things that I've gotten, though, is I have two partners, and doing something as a partnership, I know you've talked about it in your program, picking partners is really important. And initially, we got along very well together, but now we've I feel like I'm in a sack race with two other people, and we're kind of trying to go different ways. It's hard to stay focused on, okay, well, what do we want to do as the next thing? So that's where we are now. We've kind of...
It's one of the challenges when you're developing fast as a person, is that you change and other people change and your values change sometimes over time. Back to this. What is this, and what's the purpose of it? How did it come to be, and how's it working?
Actually, it's a lot like any community. People have their own page that describes their stuff, who they are. And you can form, if you become an abundant, we have two kinds of memberships. There's free and abundant memberships.
So are we looking at your...
This is my page.
This is your page.
Right.
This isn't the marketing for your page.
This isn't the marketing. No, you have to hit the link in the top left there.
Unfortunately, it's not online. This is a screen cap right here. Did you send me the page that's in the top left, or did you send me this?
I sent you the link for... I thought I gave you the www link.
Oh, okay. Well, this is the one we got, so...
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't have that other one. Go ahead, keep going.
Right, okay. So everyone who joins the community who pays for membership can set up their own forums in whatever their powerful intention is. So that if you're into scuba diving, you set up the scuba diving forum, and then people in the community can find that. And because it's a community, as one community, you have the power of the search engines because it's a community, and people will find your scuba diving site over someone who just sets up a single site by itself.
How many people have joined this community?
We have over 100,000 members now that are active, or that haven't opted out.
It's an interesting way of describing your business.
Yeah. Well, some people, you get excited about stuff and then then they go away. And our mailing list is over 100,000, right?
Okay. So let's work with Powerful Intentions, the law of attraction community. Let's just work with that, since that's the piece that we have right now, okay? As a person who's interested in, describe your average member. Do you know anything about these 100,000 people?
Basically,
what do they have in common?
I think what they have in common is they like this principle called the law of attraction.
Okay.
And they've read about it, and there are other sites, and the movie The Secret got that point across, that the law of attraction is a great principle.
There's more that's similar about them than they just like the law of attraction. Do you know any of the other things that are similar about them?
They're online.
Okay,
They
they're on
like
the
to
internet.
chat
This is
online.
good. We're making progress.
They actually like to participate in forums and
Okay, they
ask
like
questions.
communities.
And
Okay. I'm looking for stuff that's not obvious here. Looking for
Okay.
anything deeper. Are they all male? Are they all female? Are they all of a particular age? Are they all in a certain income bracket? Are they all trying to achieve a certain aim in life?
I don't have any of that demographic information.
Okay. So when I see the words powerful intentions, the law of attraction, community, what I hear is generalities and abstractions. That's what I hear. And I'm just being brutally honest here. Words like powerful and intention have been used so much that they've lost the power of their intention. Right?
Right.
And so when you get into something that's a trendy thing that can pull you up, you've got to realize that anything that goes up must come down. So the faster the trend goes up, the faster it's probably going to come down. And so what I'd be doing if I were you right now is I'd be in there figuring out who the heck these people are and what they're really trying to accomplish. Because, every so often, the main concept in the law of attraction becomes popular again. You with me? It's
Right.
not like a new idea. I mean,
Right.
it was a whole bunch of people talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when it does, everyone gets on board and gets into it, and it becomes, the rage. And then it kind of fades back out and, goes back into society or whatever, and then it kind of comes back. So while you're riding that, I'd be figuring out what are all the things that these people are trying to accomplish, and then putting that in here. And since you don't know, I'm going to have a hard time, locking in on something. But as an example, you might find that all the people that are interested in this may be business people who are also interested in spirituality. Who knows? But that's probably not a bad guess anyway.
That's a pretty good
right?
guess, yeah.
So if they're business people who are interested in spirituality, you might go, well, this is interesting. Are there any online communities where business people who are interested in spirituality gather to share enlightened business concepts? And you might stumble across that because you're figuring out who these people are. And then you say, okay, now how do we communicate with impact in a way so that when one of those people sees our community or our website, this is for business people who are also kind of spiritual. Oh, this is interesting. This is the kind of group that I want to be in. And then you go in and you figure out people who are business people who are also, kind of enlightened, spiritually oriented people. What are their needs? What are their big fears? What are their irrational motives and desires? What are the things that are motivating them to want to, what are the problems they're trying to solve? And then base your community on solving or addressing those top 3 or 5 hard-driving emotional needs. Now we're going in a direction that might be able to get us some progress. Is that making sense? Are you following
That's
me here?
making sense, yes.
Okay. So
yes.
you got to know them, though. You got to know them.
I got to know my people.
You got to know your people. And I think, it might be time to try to focus in a little bit more narrowly on what it is that they're trying to accomplish so that when they show up, you can show them exactly what they're looking to get. Because in this case, this is something that it sounds like rode on the coattails of, a few unusual events that happened.
Right.
Boom. You happened to be in the right place. You
At the right
you
time.
knew how to take advantage of it. You did a great job of doing it. And now it's time to, reinvent that, kind of rise from the ashes and become version 2.0 and go to the next level. And in order to do that, I think you have to know the specific needs of the people. All right?
And so I need to ask them.
You got to get in there and ask.
Right. Excellent.
All right. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.